Everyone, I want to thank everyone for coming in tonight. We've got the great Rob Shanahan who will be presenting. I'd like to thank our sponsors, which is Pro Photo Daily, Epson, Photo Shelter, and American Photography. Just want to let everyone also know for the week of September 9th through the 13th, we'll be showcasing five photographers who are covering the war in Ukraine. This will be our 13th week and get us over 50 presentations from wartime photographers who are covering that conflict. So with that, I turn it over to Rob. It's all yours, Rob.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me on, Frank. We've been trying to do this forever, and glad it finally worked out. And it's marvelous what you guys are doing in the photo world, keeping everyone up to date and interested in hearing on what us photographers are doing. We're all photographers, I take it. So it's really good to sit here and talk shop and photography. I love that. We're going to go through some of my work, but I love if you guys ask me anything you want about photography. And when I do my keynotes, which is something that I never, oh, look at that elephant shot. Wow. France, great photo. We were just talking about Africa. That's a beautiful photo. I love it with the reflection on the water. Man, how many here have been to Africa?
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
I found out photographing the wild animals is a lot like photographing the big rock stars. You never know what you're going to get. You never know if you're going to get eaten alive. And every day is a brand new day, and it's an open book. It's a new movie, and you just go and record it as it happens. There's no setting anything up. You just are there as a witness, and that's one of the beauties of shooting Africa and music. You just capture it as it happens. I don't really ever pose unless I'm shooting an ad. Obviously, when I'm shooting my big campaign ads, that's all post stuff, and we'll get into that. I have some samples of that, but for the most part, my favorite photos are capturing the moment. And one of my favorites is my favorite photo of Ringo and Charlie holding the drumsticks. I don't know if you guys have been to my website and seen any of my work, but that's such a nanosecond moment of time. And because it's a moment of time, not something posed, these two guys, highly creative guys, Ringo Starr, Charlie Watts, incredibly creative. Posing anything with those guys is not good. You have to capture it as it happens. So, and the whole stick transfer was a matter of a quarter of a second. So really was on top of my game then. And it just seemed like time stood still. Does that ever happen to you guys when you're in a moment in a photo shoot and it just seems like everything slows down? That happens to me a lot. And I just happened to right at the right moment on the stick transfer, and I really love it. And probably one of my favorite photos. And the day that the day that Charlie passed, it's a photo that Ringo posted on his Instagram. So it meant a lot to Ringo too, and Charlie. So it was one of those special moments. And I have it in the slideshow we're going to get to, and we'll talk about it a little more. And you get to see a little more photos from that day, which was super cool. And, photography for me, like all of us, probably started in my teen years with this camera right here. Look at that. My first camera, Pentax ME with the 50. This is a 1.7. I have another 1.4, but it came with the 1.7 lens. And let me tell you, when you're 14 and you have this in your hand, it's magic, right? I remember looking through the viewfinder and seeing this whole new world open up, and that split level focus finder in the middle. Wow, how cool is that? I'm a real pro photographer. I'm 14 thinking, I'm out on safari in National Geographic, and I grew up in a really small town in Minnesota. So I was out shooting squirrels and dogs and cows and cornfields and my neighbor, Mrs. McKinley, in her garden. And man, it was just awesome. And I really fell in love with the being in the moment and in the time and exploring. And this camera never left my side. Here's the thing. I lived a block away from the Palace drugstore, and every Friday was Kodak Day. That was the day the Kodak man showed up, picked up all the film, and would drop off from the week before. And he would take the unprocessed film, drive down to Minneapolis or wherever they had the film processing. And then by Friday, I'd get my photos back. So that week, would drive me nuts. Imagine waiting a week to see your photos now. We're all addicted to looking at the back of our cameras or iPhones, and you can see
Hmm.
everything so instantaneous. And I know when I talk to the school kids and try and explain that to them, it's hard for them to wrap their head around. You don't realize that photography wasn't always so instamatic. So uh, instant, really, being able to see your exposure, shutter stops, what everything's doing. So what I would do is take copious notes, and then a week later, I'd go back, look through the film. Wow, you did this. Okay, this is that. This is what happens when you do this. And slowly, just started to figure out the camera. Eventually, that 7 day wait started driving me nuts. I had to figure out how to process my own film. So I started buying black and white film. My mom took me back to the camera store and I bought the chemicals and the reels, and I started reeling and processing my own black and white film in my bathroom. And I remember that first roll. Wow, squirrels, cows, Mrs. McKinley in the garden. It was magic. I was hooked. And then after high school, when I went to Minnesota State, they had a dark room in the local photo lab that I would rent, and I would start printing my negatives and fell in love with the trays and the printer, and getting good at dodging and burning and learning photography in the analog world, like all of us. It was excellent. That was my photography school. My senior year,
And Rob, your family was totally supportive at a young age, like go and do this, for a family, I'm assuming a middle class family out of Minnesota, that's got to be a little bit, yeah. I mean, we got a creative kid here, huh?
yeah, I was working at my dad was self-employed, and I worked at his shop. He had a body shop, and I would work there after school, save my money, and it was all my money. Wherever my money went, my dad would say, "You're spending a lot of money on film and processing and paper." But eventually I got to introduce my dad to Ringo Starr
Mm.
many years later. And I remember the drive home from Ringo's house. I'm like, see, Dad, that's why I was investing in my career at such a young age. You never know. But you just keep doing what you're doing, and the magic happens. And I just kept following that path that was laid out in front of me. And it all started as a drummer. I was a drummer before I was a photographer, and somehow music and photography started blending. I would sit and stare at the records and study the photography, read all the liner notes, and pretty soon I started seeing music and hearing photography. They were that combined and connected. Of course, we'd read all the rock and roll magazines, and I'd look at all the covers and all the photography and seeing how they're lighting everything, and uh, checking out all the ads in the drum magazines. And eventually I started shooting all those drum ads, which was super, super cool. But it was a journey, just following a dream. And 1988, my senior year at Minnesota State University with an accounting degree. I know. What was I thinking? Accounting. I have no idea. But I thought, all right, you need a business background if you're going to go to LA and be self employed. Anyway, before I got my degree, when all my fellow classmates were sending out resumes and applying at different firms, I decided to pack up a van with my drum kit, my Pentax ME. I pointed that van to LA and I hit the gas. Boom. 4 days later, I'm in Los Angeles with a camera and a drum kit. And I immediately started shooting rock stars.
No.
No. No, that's not how it goes. I've had someone ask me that question one day. How do I move to LA and start shooting rock stars? I'm like, well, it's a long story, but it's not as easy as you think. The good news is,
All right, so Rob, you got to share your screen. You got to show us that original shot, that first shot.
okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
There's some screen action. I'm going to move you guys over here. Let's see. Here we go. All right, this is a slideshow that I presented. I'm going to move you guys back for a little bit. I also do keynote speaking for corporations. They want to know my story, my journey. So this is a show that I put together for a keynote I just did in Dallas. All right, you guys see it?
Yes.
Oh, and I see the closed caption. Let me turn that off. Let me go back a little bit. All right, there I am, 12 years old, my first drum kit. That's where it all started. Music. Eventually, I'm drumming for Ringo Starr. How much fun. All right, here we started some of my drum ads. This is for DW Drums. They gave me a drum kit, and the art director said, let's come up with something really cool. Maybe not the drummers sitting at the kit, something else. So I thought of this idea, creating a concept around the drummer up in front of the drums and on different chairs, different color schemes, monochromatic. The first one, this is Bob Dylan's drummer, Jim Keltner. He's also played with the Traveling Wilburys, and he's recorded with thousands and thousands of great artists. You've heard of him so many times on the radio. So a wonderful human and a dear friend. This is Abe Laboriel Jr., Paul McCartney's drummer, with a beautiful red sparkle drum kit from DW. And as you can see, monochromatic, different chair, different setup. I mean, same setup, just a little bit different chair schematic. Tommy Lee, Mötley Crüe, another shot live as it happens. Not a setup shot. By the way, they turned this into a poster that was reprinted so many times because they kept selling out. This is from DW Drums. Go back to the campaign. This is Chad Smith, Red Hot Chili Peppers. So obviously you can tell the drum riser, if you look closely. See that beautiful seam on the bottom?
Yep.
And the corners? Obviously that's all Photoshop. Trying to recreate that color and have it match to all these other ones is a super big pre-production task. A lot easier in post-production, I found out. So I just would recreate the drum riser, the surface, and then drop in the clipped photo drum kit that I would photograph in a white studio, in a white high-key studio.
So these were different types of ads than we were normally seeing back in the day, right? I mean, it was always the guy sitting at the kit, right? I mean,
yeah, this was a drum campaign for DW Drums. I'm going to try and move you guys over here. If I put this here, does it block the photos?
no.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, no, it's all good. You can put all the viewers any way you want.
Yeah, okay, so that's good there. You guys can see the full photo.
Yep.
All right, great. Yeah, so this was one campaign that ran for, I believe, 12 months. Like every second month, they would release a new one. So I have a series of, I believe, 8 of these. I don't think I have all 8 in this slideshow, but they were all different colors, all monochromatic. And the campaign, which was in 2008, I believe, won the NAMM Music Award Campaign of the Year. It was really cool. We won some really great awards with these. It was good. They printed these massive up on the wall at the NAMM show. So I shot these with a Contax with a, I forget what back it was. Will come to me. I eventually got a Hasselblad digital, but before that I was shooting with a Contax with a, I forget the name of the back, but these were massive 2¼ beautiful, amazing files. And I remember bringing them up on my screen, just floored by the magic. But now I got this, a Z9. These things are amazing. So by the way, look at the advancement in technology. Pretty cool. From the Pentax ME to the Z9. Should we move on? Any questions?
Yeah, keep on going. Yeah.
Mick Fleetwood. All right. So whenever the Fleetwood Mac would go out on tour, I'd get the call to come in and do some pre-tour photos. And on a little break, I had an idea. Mick, with your big wide wingspan, let's try and get this shot. And I think for this, I had a pro photo, one of my trusty touring pro photos, just light him right in the eyes underneath that cap. You know, you get that, otherwise you'd have a shadow under there. And just exposing for the background lights and the highlights on the cymbals.
So, Rob, just speak to, getting into this world where, once you're in, and how to sustain that. right? I mean, how did we get there?
Yeah. So from the moment I arrived in LA in the van to shooting these rock stars, there's years in between.
Yeah.
And what it was doing the good work, finding the right people and meeting the right art directors, ad creatives, um, managers, agents. I just hit it hard, just kept shooting and always putting out quality work. And being that I'm a musician, drummer, I know the language, I know how to hang with musicians. I don't get nervous hanging around the big rock stars. I'm very comfortable. Um, I feel like I know what I'm doing photographically, so I'm never nervous or wondering what I'm doing with my cameras. I always know my gear very, very well, and I stay on top of the technology and, just going in with confidence and being able to produce quality, good imagery every time. And
And, yeah. And
that's,
what is the significance of being a lefty drummer? I know
ah,
Ringo and I know you and Ringo are both lefties. What's unique about that? It's just
I
that there's
love,
so few.
I love that you brought that up. Yeah, I'm a left-handed guy, but the drum kit at my high school, where my band director taught me how to play, was set up righty. So I learned to play righty. I knew that about Ringo, and that was actually my very first conversation with him. Ringo, I'm also a lefty playing righty, and I know why you did this and you played this, Phil, and it was like an instant icebreaker. And I do that with all my artists. I find a way to break down that barrier. You know what I mean? That
Yeah, no, I have to say, I did a little reading, before, with you coming on to know some facts, and you're always, in working and representing photographers, I'm always, pushing, like, learn something, maybe, check something on LinkedIn. You went to the same university, you did this, you did that. I mean, like, what a stroke of luck that you're both lefties. And he probably didn't have many other lefty drummers
yeah,
as friends.
working through Ringo through the years, and it's been a while. It's been, since early 2000s. One thing I noticed whenever anyone new meets him, they always get so excited and, oh my God, the Beatle, and what about, they just lose control and they want to talk about beat. He's heard it all. He's been asked every silly question millions of times, but this was something. Oh,
Mm.
wow. Oh, you're a normal guy. You want to talk drums? And by the way, my day with Ringo Starr and Charlie Watts and Jim Keltner at Ringo's house, same thing. I realized us drummers, well, I knew us drummers, we're just teenagers at heart. We start talking about drum gear or anything drum related, it instantly brings us all on the same level. And that's exactly what happened with me and Ringo. I brought up something that he could easily or instantly connect to, and oh, that's awesome. And just kind of went from there.
Right.
Yeah. But
Beautiful.
in today's world, like any artist you photograph or anyone you photograph for that matter, it's so easy to go and do a Google search, find everything you want to know about them, learn where they went to school. You
Right.
can know all about their family or, what favorite football team is they have, or, there's all sorts of great topics you can talk about other than, you know, trying
Yeah.
to trying to force a relationship immediately when you meet someone. So, and that's something that I talk about in my keynotes because it applies to business also. It's like there's no way you can't not know all your customers or clients or prospects or anyone you want to do business with. Just learn as much as you can about them. And of course, learning and talking about music is one of my favorites. So, getting to talk to Mick Fleetwood about all those great drum tracks from the 70s and his old Ludwig kits. And wow, you used to have that 14-inch tom right here. Holy crap. Oh, wow, you pay attention. All right, let's go. That's how it goes. That's how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
And I'm an excited guy and I love making people feel real happy and good. And, it's a thing. It's could be my Minnesota roots. We're the happy state. Just I love bringing out the joy And that's actually one of the biggest compliments I get when people look through my books. Wow, I see a lot of joy. I feel a lot of joy from your images, and that's what it's all about.
Great. Continue.
Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, people can put them in the chat room, but you keep on rocking. Go.
By the way, this is my photo from Africa. One of my favorites. Leopard.
Rob,
Tree jumping.
hey, you mentioned how you like hearing gear talk. I'm a musician as well. I'm a wannabe drummer, but I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Footwear. No shoes, shoes, or special shoes?
When I'm drumming,
Yes.
I've drummed in everything. When I was in the 80s, I had a pair of black leather boots. Blah, blah.
Wow.
I can play in those. I can play in sneakers. I can play barefoot. I don't really like playing barefoot though. I like having shoes on. If I'm home, I have a electric drum kit in my drum studio. I can put on headphones and just woodshed away. I just have on my running shoes.
I came across a video of the drummer from the Mars Volta, and this is the first drummer I saw that wears kick drum, shoe, no shoes, hi-hat shoes.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that's good. Like a football kicker.
Yeah.
They'll have two different shoes on. I never could figure that out. Why don't you just wear the pair that you love to kick with? But I guess one's for gripping the turf and the other one's for kicking the ball. So that makes sense. Mars Volta.
Yeah.
He's got it down. He's got his kick boot and his hi-hat. Speaking of shoes, so Charlie Watts, he wears these amazing black leather shoes that he has custom made or had custom made at a shop in London. He would go in and put his foot into like a mold, and they would mold this soft foam around his foot. They would pour this mold in and it would harden around his foot. Then they would peel it off, cut it in two, I guess, peel it off, and then they would use that. They'd make a hard mold of his foot and then build the leather shoe around.
John Lobb.
And those were his drumming shoes. They're super cool. I have a picture of it coming up. We'll look at it. Shall we move on a little bit?
Yeah. Keep on going, Rob, as you talk.
Sheila E. The great Sheila E. This is the marvelous person that introduced me to Ringo Starr. And I started shooting her in about 1996, back in the film days, and Kodachrome 64 in a studio with lights, not this shot, but my first shot with her was for a Paiste cymbal ad. And it was my first time meeting her. And I got to tell her I grew up 18 miles from Paisley Park, Prince's studio, where she recorded her first #1 record. She's like, what? 18 miles from Paisley Park? And it started this immediate Minnesota connection. And it was the right thing to do. It was like perfect. We started talking about the neighborhoods and the beautiful countryside there. And she told me where her house is, the house that she bought back in the 80s when she was drumming with Prince there. And he helped them all buy a house. When her record first hit, she bought this beautiful house right on Lake Minnetonka in Wayzata and still owns the house. The coolest thing. She said that was the best, smartest thing he could have done for us. Made us all go and buy a house in Minnesota around Paisley Park. Now it's probably worth 10 times what they paid for it. But anyway, fell in love with her, and I've been doing all her stuff ever since. This was a ad for Latin percussion for the timbales. But of course, it's not about the timbales. It's about her. Always about her and the little dance and the little fun. And, this is just a moment of her and I having fun with each other, and high key, white, bunch of pro photos, lighting the scene. And I use blackboards to get that shadow in the drums, to get those nice lines coming out. Just trying different things with black and white boards to get that highlight. And that's it. Simple as that. It's all about capturing the feel, the vibe. The rest we can fix and post in Photoshop. Try to get everything as close as I can in the can, but okay, moving on to a DW ad. This is years later. Just wanting to get that really dark background and shadows with a little bit of highlights, and that warm light is actually some hot par cans coming from the light truss that was around her. And I just love this photo.
Yeah, and Rob, at this point, are we dealing with agents and that sort of layer of people, or are you still direct?
Direct. She'll call me direct, or DW will call direct. We need a photo with Sheila E. You guys figure it out. Here's the drums we want to use. I'll get some feedback from the art director, Scott Donnell, who's one of my dearest friends in the world. He and I have been creating ads for over 25 years. He'll give me a little direction and off we go. And this one was actually a lot of set design. You can't see the host shot. I cropped it in for the slideshow, but the host shot actually has a big light truss around her with a bunch of par cans. That's where that beautiful warm yellow light is coming down. And I was shooting at 2 1/4. This was probably 2005-ish. So again, the contacts with the, I don't remember the back. I don't know why, I can't remember, but beautiful high-res files. Love it. And this is before the 35 millimeter digitals were really moving along. Back then it was probably like Fuji S1, which was my first digital camera, or the Nikon D1, D1X, kind of in that range, maybe D2. So the quality wasn't quite there yet, but the medium format high-res digital files were, they were like 150 meg files and just super gorgeous. So this one got printed really, really large on a wall in the music stores.
Hey Rob, are those 2 Chinas in our set?
From where?
On the set on the left, are those 2 Chinas?
Yeah, China cymbals.
2?
Here on the left. Yeah, she's got a bunch of crazy sounds. And besides, also keep in mind, this drum kit was just laid out for the photo. This isn't an actual playing setup.
Who set them up?
DW would bring the drums, and here's another thing. That's why the drum companies love me shooting their catalogs and their product photos, because I know how to set up a drum kit. I know the beauty angles of each drum, how to set the cymbals, where everything goes to make it look yummy, make the products look yummy and buyable and really, attract the drummers. For this one, we decided we wanted the kit just to be in the photograph laid out around her instead of her trying to fit into a playable kit. So yeah, this China cymbal I put up really high just to fill that space. Snare drum on her left hand, something for her to lean on. Using the drums as a photo prop instead of an instrument, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay. The power of connections, relationships, and being able to have the angle or get the angle that nobody else can get. And what I love about this photo is look in the photo pit. Look at all those photographers. And this is in, by the way, this is in Weert, Netherlands at the Bospop Festival. All the European major photographers were there in the pit, and they're looking up at me going, how the hell did that guy get that shot up there? How does he get up there? They're all holding their cameras right here going, damn it. But I've been working with Ringo for so long. We're in tour across Europe, and we get out 5 minutes before showtime. I'm waiting in the wings, and I look out at this crowd, and I'm like, Ringo, the shot isn't you from the pit with the typical background. It could be anywhere. We could be in America. We could be, who knows? The shot is you and the crowd. That's the shot. Oh, yeah. Great. So second song, I'll turn around. So I'm up on his drum riser waiting. After the second song, he turns around, and there I am. 2 shots, 3 shots, boom, boom. And off I went.
That reminds me of the Muhammad Ali photograph.
Oh,
with Neil Leifer.
Yeah, in the background going, damn it, I'm on the wrong side.
All those other photographers are on the other side, and Neil has got the shot of him over Sonny Liston.
Yeah, amazing. Wow, good one, Frank. That's a really great
But it's exactly the shot. I mean, it's beautiful.
A great comparison. Yeah, and it's Ringo Starr. I mean, that's what's cool about it. It could be, any drummer, but it's him. I love it.
Mm.
Yeah. So being in the right place, having the power of connection, relationships, trust, et cetera, et cetera. And that's it. By the way, after Ringo's set over in that tent with all the in the middle in the background with all the high points, in that tent after Ringo show was Greg Allman. So we all went over there after, and I got to meet Greg Allman before he went on stage, and it was super cool, man. What a great icon! And I got this really great portrait of him backstage before he went on, and he was wonderful.
So, Rob, tell us how somebody loses the connection. Like, what does a photographer do? I went too far. I did this, I did that, because I'm sure, the streets are littered with guys who had that connection, were almost there, and then it just slipped away. What is the third rail to avoid?
Here's the deal. All right, you guys ready? I quit fucking drinking and doing drugs and whatever other stupid shit I was doing a long time ago. It's been over 25 years. I thought, you're getting one chance in your life to do something really good, really meaningful. Don't fuck it up. I don't put out any work that I wouldn't approve of, that if I was in the photo. I only put out the top 1 or 2% of my work. I don't let anyone see the bad. I don't spread rumors. I don't talk about artists. Everyone tells me everything because they know I'm a steel trap. I hold everything in. I don't spread gossip. You'll never see my shit on TMZ or any of the rags. I love working with these guys and keeping my relationships and staying on top of my game. I work out 4 or 5 days a week. I'm physically active. I try and learn new stuff all the time. I just joined an acting class. I just got a drone camera a month ago, which I love. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm always learning. I want to be the best that I can, and to be able to talk about anything with these artists. Guys like Ringo, they travel the world forever. They know a lot. I travel the world. I try and go to interesting places. I photograph everywhere I go, and I try and be as interesting as my subjects. So I work very hard to maintain all that and just putting out good work. That's what it is.
And was there a moment in your life where you had to make this choice? Because it sounds like there was a clairvoyant moment.
Yeah, I had a daughter. My daughter was born. She's 25, and she's the love of our lives. My wife and I have been married 28 years, and she's a gift. Kids are amazing, and she's an amazing human, and she's a ball of light. She has special needs and was a big challenge for my wife and I, but like anything in life, you take it on head first and you just grab the bull by the horns and you deal with it. And we raised an amazing, beautiful girl, and she's living 9 minutes from us on her own she thinks she's on her own, but she has live-in staff helping her. But it's a wonderful thing. And she's a beautiful girl and just a big ball of light. And she has a special gift. She remembers everyone's name. I wish I had that gift.
Man.
She remembers names, like from the very beginning when she was a year old. And it's an incredible thing. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we all have our gifts. That's hers.
Okay.
So I decided, all right, I got to be the best dad. So let's go for it. What can I take out of my life that's keeping me from being a better person? Well, who needs alcohol? You know how much money I save? I wasn't a big drinker, but and there's always free beers backstage or drinks. There's always an open bar, a lot of parties and whatever I go to in the music industry. But I see what it can do to people, to musicians, to talented people. And you can read about it, you hear about it every day. People just destroying their lives with any negative things. Anyway, that's the end of our AA meeting.
Yeah, and
Not
if
that I
you'd
was
like to
ever in,
sign up,
not that I
I
was
did.
ever in AA, but I love sharing that message. And if I could change one person's mind, or if I can help one 18-year-old kid who's, maybe having trouble, and there's a better way.
Yeah,
And that's the
I
clear
didn't mean
way.
to go into any. I didn't mean to go into anything personal, but it just like the way you said it. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm
thank you
happy
for
to
sharing
share
that.
anything personal, but no, I did not get in trouble. I didn't
Right.
kill anyone. Didn't have anything really bad happen, but I made a decision before something did. And I thought, you get
Just
one chance. I don't want to like blow it.
right.
Let's have fun and make art and live a good life. All right, more Ringo. All right, this is fun. So, are you guys hip to the Rolling Stones Sticky Fingers record?
Yeah,
The
with the
close up,
zipper,
the Andy
the
Warhol
zipper.
close up. Yeah, the zipper photo. So I'm down close. I'm thinking, wow, what a cool shot. Ringo's hands, that belt buckle. So I'm down in close. And Ringo says, Rob, are you shooting me Johnson? And I said, no, I don't have my macro lens on. And he laughed,
There you
pulled
go.
back, and I got that photo. He gave me a big laugh. Love it. No, not a macro lens. All right. Doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
Line with Ringo Starr. That's the way to tour. It's a really excellent way to tour. I love it. Pull up right next to the jet, jump out, you're in the plane. 5 minutes later, you're in the air. So we used to hub out of major metro areas like New York. We'd fly out of actually Teterboro. We'd go to Rhode Island or Boston or, all the short jaunts. 10:30 at the end of the show. By 10:45, we're back in the jet. By 11:30, I'm back in my hotel in New York City. And I'd be laying in bed going, damn, I was just in Boston shooting a show. That's amazing. Or
Yeah.
we would hub out of Chicago to Minneapolis, Chicago to Des Moines, Chicago to whatever, Indianapolis. And 11 o'clock, I'd be back in my room. Holy shit, that was a great show in Indianapolis. Anyway, great way to tour. Not all bands can do it that way, but okay, so this is my trip to Liverpool with Ringo. We did a tour of his old high school and they made him sign in. Check that out. Ringo signing
Fun.
in. That's the headmaster there with the ID tag. And I realized, as soon as we leave, this book is going in a case, display case. Yeah, there's his signature. So thinking, all right, this is going to be put behind glass after we leave. So I signed it.
There you go. And tell us a little bit about the not details, but just how to work with a spouse, because Barbara's with him all the time, and how does that work?
Make the spouse happy, make the spouse look good. That's the key.
All right.
Nothing of Barbara goes out without Barbara looking like Barbara.
Great.
Oh yeah, my underwater photo. This is John Dolmayan from System of a Down. I had no art direction. We just thought, hey, let's throw a drum kit in the swimming pool. That would be cool. Never done it before. I found out that the drums floated, so I had to puncture the bottom drum heads, fill them with water. And this was back in the film days. So I had a Nikonos underwater camera, high noon, just available light. And I would shoot a roll of film, run it to a local 1 hour lab so I could check the negatives back to the, squirrels, dogs, cows, looking at negatives, my exposures, because you can't do a Polaroid, you can't check under there. And I realized I was missing something. There was something missing. So I called a friend of mine, Alana, said, Alana, get your bikini, come over. I'm shooting something really cool. That's her in the background.
Mm-hmm.
The mighty Alex Van Halen. I'm such a huge Van Halen fan, massive Van Halen fan since 1978. I got the call in 2005. That's where this photo came from Van Halen management. Fly up to Boise. We need you to do some work with those guys. So up I went. Boise, Idaho, meeting my idols at Soundcheck was super, super cool. I have a really cool photo of Alex in volume 2, my latest book that just came out in January. super, super cool. That's the night that I got this photo. Probably one of my top 5 favorite photos, and a big favorite of collectors and the Van Halen fans. And again, this was a matter of at soundcheck connecting with those guys and just being able to share my love of all their music. And I knew exactly what to ask Alex Van Halen. I knew all the drum tracks. I knew every drum fill he ever did. And I had so many great questions. And we share the same birthday. I finally got to tell him we share the same birthday, May 8th. And by the end of sound check, he's like, look, why don't during the show, just, go all over stage, wherever you want to go. And I'm like, wait a minute, on stage with Van Halen? You got it. I'm there. So this photo was literally a minute before this photo. I'm standing at the front left of Alex's drum riser to get that photo, kind of right in front of the drums. And then Eddie walks by and goes into center stage and turns around and salutes his brother Al. And I shot 2 frames, and I knew immediately when I shot that, I thought if one of those is in focus, it's going to be great. And this is one of 2 photos. The other one, his knees off the ground like 2-3 inches, just right before or right after. I don't remember which. I think it's right after. And yeah, that was the photo right there.
You remember these images like yesterday, huh?
Yeah, I use these a lot in my keynotes when I do corporate speaking, and they want to know the story. So I kind of have stories behind them. Oh, Robert Levy's finally here. Okay,
He was here before, and he's coming back.
Okay, Sammy Hagar. So here's another thing. 2005 is when I first met Sammy, and I ended up doing a shoot with him with that guitar up in his dressing room, and we connected. And I still shoot with him. I was just with him 2 weeks ago here in LA when they played the Forum, and the week before that at Red Rocks in Denver. Amazing venue, one of my all-time favorite venues, and it's been on my bucket list to shoot Van Halen or Sammy Hagar there, and it was really great to see him. It was an amazing show. This is Billy Squier, one of my favorite artists from the 80s. I know every song. I've played his songs a million times in my drum room when I was a teenager, and turns out he was a big fan of my work, which was super cool. Super cool. So we built an instant friendship, and he told me, don't ever sell the photo rights to your photos, your copyrights. Keep your rights to I've never done that. I've never shot for Getty. I've never shot for Wire Image. I'm always my own freelancing guy, and I never sign away the rights to my photos. And Billy told me when in the late 70s, when he was shopping record deals, they always wanted to own the recordings, they wanted to own the publishing, and he would not sell. He would not let go. He's like, no, he would say no to all the big major record labels, because that's how record labels do. They want to own everything and rip off the artist. But he kept his feet firmly on the ground and planted, and finally Universal relented, and they gave him his first record deal, and the rest is history. And Billy Squier is one of the greatest rock artists of the 80s in my world, and a super dear friend. And because he owns all those songs, I've been to his apartment in Upper West Side. I've been to his house out in the Hamptons. There's a reason why he can afford to live like that, because he did keep all the rights to all his music. Really good stuff.
Smart. So how do you navigate generation to generation as a rock star photographer?
Yeah, I get asked that question. Well, do you shoot anyone current? And I do. I've shot Bieber, I've shot Selena Gomez, I've shot Christina Aguilera, I've shot Avril Lavigne, and all sorts of younger artists. Do I put them in my slideshows? Sometimes. There may be some in here. I don't know. We'll see. Towards the end, we may get to some more. All right, there's your Barry built-in bullshit meter.
But Rob, you didn't really answer my question.
Oh, how do I
How do you bridge? How do you get to the younger people? And why are you not sure that they're in your presentation? Have they not reached the Ringo level? I mean, how does that work?
Here's the thing. I love shooting the people that I love. I don't really resonate with too much new music. There's a few new bands. Like I was just in Nashville shooting Cowboys and Hippies, and they're all like 20, 21, 22 years old, and they look like Leonard Skinner, and they are freaking awesome. They're bringing rock and roll back, and I love those guys, and they're my new favorite band. So it's got to really feel to me. I got to really respond to the music. And I'm a big Barry fan. Who isn't?
Yeah.
A lot of the new artists, I'm not really hip to. So I guess
Okay.
I get the calls and I'll photograph them and I'll know all about them when I get to the shoot and I have a great shoot with them. But I get really excited talking about my icons.
Yeah.
And
I get that.
it's just relative to me. It just hits me in the right way, if you will.
Yeah, I get it.
But let me tell you, photographing Selena Gomez, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Photographing Christina Aguilera, super awesome. She's amazing, really great. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. And they, of course, they know my work from shooting all the icons.
Right.
Like they want to be in that group too. So it's a really great win-win for both of us. Oh, there you go. Avril Lavigne. Many years ago, this is like 2008. And you had asked earlier about management and agents and dealing with the people around. And this is a great example. So on this shoot, which was for Yamaha, there was like 3 people from Yamaha there. Her agent was there. Her manager was there. Her attorney was there, waving a stack of papers at me that I refused to sign. She, God bless her, love Avril, said, all right, everyone, out. We're going to go to work here. Kicked everyone out, just her and I. I'm like, Avril, sweet.
I love that girl. Right?
Sweet move. This is exactly how I love to work. And it never happens. And you guys will know what I'm talking about. So I'm on a shoot. Well, I'm not saying this shoot, but any shoot. And there's always somebody like standing 10 feet away going, hey, Rob, come check out this angle. I think this is a great angle. And I'm like, all right, listen, I'm shooting right here, right now. If it's a great angle, I'll find it. I guarantee you, if there's a better angle over there, I'll make my way over there. I'll get it. You don't need to point it out. Too many cooks in the kitchen. It's the same thing with photography. It's like, let me do my thing and I'll get you what you need and more. And my good friend Greg Bissonette, the great drummer who's recorded with so many different great artists, he'll say the same thing about his drum tracks. He'll go in and he'll play the chart. He'll play the song, exactly what they're asking for. And then he'll be like, let me record another track with how I think it should go. And he said 99% of the time they pick his. Same with me. I'll give the art director, the client, what they're looking for, and then I'll do my thing. And 99% of the time, they'll pick what I come up with. Most of the time, there's not even an art director there. They just trust me and let me do my thing. Avril Lavigne, beautiful. I love that. Okay, some Stuart Copeland and Sting. This was up in Seattle at the Pepsi Arena before it was changed or whatever it is now. When they did their reunion tour, they rented out the arena for a month and just kept working on the set list, trying different things, seeing what would work. So it was an empty arena, the crew, and me with a camera. I was up there for about a week, just capturing a bunch of stuff and band photos. And this is just a live at rehearsal photo. Love it. And I love it that it's Sting and Stuart Copeland down there in the drums. Perfectly placed between the cymbal and that little swisher cymbal that he's got in the middle there.
You know what I love, Rob? So many times, when we have photographers, they'll say, I got lucky. I got lucky. You never say that. and of course, because you figure it out and you go and this is where I should, you get it, right? But and I always yell at the photographers, none of it is luck, like
Yeah.
right.
You know what luck is? Opportunity meets preparation. That is luck.
Okay.
And I've been preparing for my work since I was 10 with drones, 13 with the camera. I've been preparing that long. I'm 58. So I've been doing it a long time. And I don't believe in luck in photography. I take that back. I've been lucky in some shots. Some shots I've gotten where I'm still like amazed that I happen to be in the right place at the right time. But you got to know what you're doing. You got to be able to create magic every shoot, every opportunity, every time.
And your the live images that you have, are those for the band? Are those for local newspapers, or
Never a local newspaper, always for the band.
always for the band? And then the band could use it for records or promotion.
Yeah, this stuff goes in tour books,
Right.
merchandise, any kind of band memorabilia,
Right.
archives, you name it. Yeah.
And I guess over time you must see how, like, shooting this band that, you're shooting some young bands, but it really takes a long time to see if that band is going to be the band.
Yeah. Some bands I photograph and you forget about and nothing ever happens with them. And some
Right.
surprise the heck out of me. Okay. Case in point, I get a call. I don't even remember what year. Justin Bieber, his first trip to America. He had a 10-city tour. He was 14 years old. I get a call from the Hard Rock. Hey, we're flying this kid from Vancouver down and we want you to shoot him. Justin Bieber. And they could have said Joe Smalley. It would have been the same to me. I didn't know, the world did not know Justin Bieber.
Right.
So I had a shoot scheduled. I show up, I'm early, I'm setting up, I'm all ready to go. Call time. 2 hours late walks Justin Bieber carrying an acoustic guitar. And he sits down and he starts singing and playing. And I forgave him for being late. He was that good. I'm like, all right, this kid's going to be around a while, but you never know. Right. We did our shoot. He wanted to shoot with a skateboard that he just bought on Venice Beach and a cap. So I did. And, I put these files in my archives. I got the Hard Rock what they needed. And, years later, he explodes onto the scene. And I didn't put him in volume 1. I had the photos during that time, but I thought, I'll wait. Maybe volume 2. So I let it go and published one of them in my latest book, volume 2. And it's fun because people go, holy crap, you have Justin Bieber at age 14. It's kind of like when you see Stones of photos of the Stones or the Beatles from 1962 and 3, like before they exploded. I find it to be fascinating looking at those.
I mean, that's like, putting money in a mutual fund. If it goes, it goes, right?
Yeah, you're just planting little seeds. Sometimes they grow into big, beautiful trees, and sometimes they get dug up and eaten by a rabbit. So check this out. When I was in Liverpool with Ringo, backstage, Paul McCartney's drummer, Michael, showed up. Paul McCartney's younger brother, Michael, with a manila envelope full of old black and white photos. And he dumps them out on the table in Ringo's dressing room and starts spreading them out. And I realized, holy crap, these are all old Paul McCartney family photos and Michael McCartney photos of the guys like sitting around the house or in the backyard or performing at the church. And I was blown away. It's like $1 million worth of photos.
Oh, sure.
Spread out on the table. And Ringo's like, oh, Michael, those are lovely. To Ringo, it's just like old snapshots, It's like, who cares? He doesn't care about any of that. Me, as a photographer and rock and roll lover, as an archivist, I'm like, holy
and the accounting major, right?
So Michael's like spreading him, and he's so proud to show Ringo. And Ringo's like, oh, thanks for bringing him, Michael. Michael's like, no, I brought him for you. You can have him. Take him home. Ringo's like, what would I do with those? No, And I'm thinking, I'll take him.
uh,
I got a picture of them like from up here, just them spread out on the table. But obviously there's nothing I can do with them other than have it in my archives and look at it and
right.
smile every once in a while. But Michael's like, oh, okay, gathers them up, throws them back in the envelope. And I'm thinking those are going back home and then sitting on a file cabinet, and they're going to sit there for another 20 years before anyone finds them.
Yeah.
See, another man's trash is another man's gold, is what they say.
There you go.
All right, let's move on, shall we? What else?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another great opportunity. I just happen to be in the right place at the right time, and this could be luck. I'll tell you why. Because I'm at I can tell this is at center staging by that white background that looks like we're in the space shuttle cargo bay. We're at Grammy rehearsals, Smokey and Lionel working out a song, and they're looking at me. I'm ready to take a photo of them too, and all of a sudden, somebody walked in behind me into the rehearsal room. And they reacted right here. This is it. Boom. I took the photo. And then I turned around and looked, and it was Berry Gordy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, holy crap. Berry Gordy. That's a major heavyweight walking in. I ended up getting a cool shot of the three of them, but this is the photo. It's
Right.
slightly soft. It's slightly out of focus, but I don't care. It's got a really good vibe to it. It's got a good
Great
feel.
moment. It's a great moment.
Good moment. So, yeah, there you go. I was very lucky that Berry Gordy walked in. That was a good piece of luck.
Yeah.
Oops, I went too fast. Let's go back. Christina Aguilera. Want to hear something fun? And I tell the story. My wife thinks I'm really weird for doing this, but I did it. Girls, the lipstick. So she gets done singing. This is at rehearsals, and she was singing James Brown, "When a Man Loves a Woman." Just belted it out. And she got lipstick all over the microphone. And after the song or a break, she went over with the tissue and wiped off the lipstick and threw it in the garbage. At the end of the day, I'm leaving and I throwing something away, and I look in the garbage and there's that tissue with her lipstick on it. So I grabbed it and I brought it home and I put it in a Ziploc, and I marked it and I ID'd it and I put the date on it and I put it in a file cabinet. And my wife thinks it's the craziest thing, but I love it. I just love having that.
That's great.
Having that piece of Christina Aguilera in my house. All right, so there you go.
Beautiful.
Quincy Jones, incredibly amazing, iconic in the music industry, and as luck would have it, so yeah, I'm very lucky.
See, now you're using luck every other word, Rob. You're killing it.
I happen to be in the right place at the right time.
Okay.
Quincy came in to visit some friends of mine that I was shooting a rehearsal for, some members of a great band called Earth, Wind, and Fire. Mm-hmm. Quincy came to say hello, and as he was walking out, I pulled him aside for a quick photo, and I took maybe 3 frames, and that's one of them. And years later, like 2 years ago, when they did the Quincy Jones Netflix documentary, his family reached out for the usage of this photo, which was super cool and an incredible honor. And I love it. I love it.
Beautiful.
Bill Vassar, big, huge country star, great songwriter. He writes for all the big artists. Not only is he a great performer, keyboardist, piano player, but a great country songwriter. Had a show in Vegas, and the day before his show, my wife and I went hiking in the Red Rock Canyons out there. It's beautiful, beautiful. And I had an idea. What a great place for a photo shoot with his piano. But I want a really long shadow, early morning sunrise shadow. See that piano shadow jumping across? So I was shooting him that night, the night before, and backstage, I in his dressing room, I said, Phil, I have a great idea for a photo tomorrow. Let's get a piano out in the desert, get you jumping off the piano. He does this live, by the way. He jumps off the piano. That's what made me think about it. I didn't come up with this concept. I actually saw him do it live on stage, not out in the desert, but on stage. And I threw this idea on him, and I said, but here's the thing. We got to leave at like 4 a.m. to get set up and be prepared for the sunrise. It's going to be like 4:30 or 5 o'clock, 5:20, somewhere in there. We'll get the right light. He's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. So that night after his show, we drove out there, and we had the piano set up. I got all prepared, got on a tripod, got my shot laid out. Sun started peeking up. They went and knocked on the tour bus. He was out sleeping in his bunk. He comes out, rubbing his eyes. Okay, let's do it. Boom, one jump. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I wanted that long shadow.
Mm.
And it was like 2008. So it was before you could even think about doing it in Photoshop or dropping it in. But that would be false. Why not just do it right and do it real in the can?
Yeah.
So that ended up in volume 1. And also in a bunch of his tour merch. He printed shirts and did a whole bunch of merchandise with this, which is super cool. I love nothing more than when artists want to license my photos. All right, Luke Bryan. Any big country Luke Bryan fans? So this was a ad campaign for Yamaha. They brought this beautiful big piano into his house. I went out to his house in like a half hour outside of Nashville. And again, Yamaha with their art director, wardrobe, stylist, you name it, big, massive crew. And they got him in these Calvin Klein outfit. And, you know, it's cool. I love it. It's beautiful. But when I pulled up to his house, I saw the old Chevy pickup truck out by the wood pile. And I asked him about it. I'm an old car guy. I have an old 56 Chevy. So I'm asking him about the Chevy. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's my truck. I'm like, let's go shoot in the truck. Go get changed. He comes running downstairs in a flannel, jeans, and a hat. We jump in the truck and we start driving out in the country. And that's when I got this.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, this is you. This is Luke Bryan, not this. I mean, that's cool. Great Yamaha ad, but I like this.
Yep.
It's just me and my camera and a reflector just lighting up under the eye, under the rim of the cap. A little more fun.
Yeah.
The icons, somebody mentioned Neil Peart earlier. That's Neil in the middle. On the left is, on the right is Nick Mason, and that's Roger Taylor on the left from Queen. So it goes Roger Taylor, Queen, Neil Peart, Rush, Nick Mason, Pink Floyd drummer. So talk about 3 drumming legends and how awesome for me as a drummer to shoot amazing guys like this. So the 2 guys on the end I shot in London separately. Roger Taylor at his house out in Surrey, which is an hour outside of London. It's like the Beverly Hills of London, out in the rolling hills countryside, gorgeous. And Nick Mason I shot at Pink Floyd headquarters in London, like a big, beautiful industrial space. Like from the outside, it looks like it could be a furniture factory. And then you walk in and it's like Pink Floyd headquarters, gold records, posters, like everything ever from day one of Pink Floyd is in that big, massive space, including the recording studio and rehearsal space and all the old 2-inch tape recording gear. And I'm looking at it and the engineers going, yes, that's the stuff that recorded Dark Side of the Moon and all the old great albums. And
Wow.
I'm not listening to it. I mean, I would be embarrassed to put some of this. Hold on.
say that again.
Jay, you got to mute somebody there, whoever that is.
And be embarrassed about what? I want to know.
I think they're done.
Oh, they're done.
What were
Okay.
they embarrassed about?
We'll have to find out.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good to know. They'd be embarrassed to put this in their slideshow.
No,
I mean,
I don't think so.
not me. These are my iconic drummers. I love it. So again, no art direction from DW. They just said, we want pictures of our icons. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go shoot these guys, which I did. And they ran their ads of them individually. But when I put it together as a group, it turned into something different, a little more special. And I lit them all the same so it could all look consistent. And anyway, I love it.
Yeah, great.
Look at that, Natalie Cole. I miss her. This was a long time ago. Wonderful. Let me move my mouse. Sorry. I just realized my mouse was in the middle of all the photos. I love her, great spirit. Sadly, we lost her, but it's still a wonderful show. It's all about the eyes
Yeah.
and the personality and getting that beautiful, warm inner child to come out of the musician. That's what I'm all about. Finding that teenager that was in love with music like I was. And they're in there. Every artist,
Yeah.
every great musician has that teenage music lover inside. I know how to get there.
Yeah. I just want to let everyone know in the chat room is Rob's website address. So, any books, he sells prints all through the website. So just so you know that it's there.
Yeah, go to the do you have the robshanahan.com or .art?
I think he has.
It's actually rockpaperphoto.com.
Oh no, don't go there. Go to robshanahan.art.
I'll put
That's
it in right now. Rob
that's
Shanahan.
.art, A-R-T. That's my online gallery. And what it does, there's a pop-up window. We'll ask you to sign on to my email list. Don't be afraid. Sign on. I won't email you every day. Don't worry. But what I do send out is super cool, like behind the scenes and what I'm working on now. And it's not salesy at all. It's just to keep you updated and let you know what I'm working on.
Great.
And I show images that nobody else sees.
Rob, I hate to interrupt, but that picture in robshanahan.art of EVH in front of the whole stack of amps is just killer.
Oh, yeah, the Eddie Van Halen. Before the knee shot, before the center stage shot, that was actually like 20 seconds before the other photo. Yeah, he's down at the knee in front of a stack of amps. And I'm like, holy crap, look at that. Grabbed the photo and he walked by me. Like, as he walked by, he had this look on his face like, get ready, bro. Check this out. That's when he went and did the knee with the fist pump. I'm glad you saw that because it may not be in this slideshow. But this is Sarah McLachlan, again, finding that beautiful inner child. And, most musicians, you do a photo shoot, they'll look at the camera, whatever, to get them to react, to get them to open up, to get to this point. Sometimes it's a little challenge. Sometimes it's just a matter of me showing them what I'm thinking or talking about what I'm thinking about. And for instance, this case, I'm like, all right, Sarah, I want to get you sitting here. And I showed her and I went back and I'm like, something like this. And she just automatically went into this beautiful pose. And that's it.
And Rob, what do you do as to follow up with the artist? Do you send them a print? I mean, or does that depend how you connect with them? What do you do?
Yeah, it all depends. Mostly, I'm sending a link up to my Dropbox, and then management will upload and have everything. Or, back in the day, I would send digital contact sheets or digital proof sheets to have them look through. It all depends. But
Right.
remember, I only send top 2%, and I don't take a whole lot of photos on a photo shoot. I'm not one of those. Very
Right.
selective.
And you
Sometimes-
keep the rights to everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my agreement. But I give them the rights to anything too. It's a great win-win.
Okay.
It's a wonderful win. I get my day rate. I get paid. They pay expenses, whatever, travel,
Right.
whatever needs. And I get my day rate and they get their photos and we all win.
Great.
Clients love it. They don't have to come back to me every time they want to use it for a social post or a this or that or tour book or whatever. Okay, so any Supertramp fans out there like me? Breakfast in America, one of my favorite records growing up. Supertramp is one of my all-time favorites, and this is Roger Hodgson, the lead singer. I happened to be on tour with him, and this was down east of San Diego, somewhere inland at a casino down there. I forget where it was. I'm out for a run in the morning and I ran across this bridge thinking, wow, what a great photo. I get back to the hotel, ask Roger, and by that afternoon, we're out walking it and I'm shooting it. So there you go.
Beautiful.
Simple as that. Love it. All right. Todd Rundgren, musical genius, incredible, gifted songwriter, producer. Uh, his songs from his years in Utopia to his solo records, to him producing all the Meatloaf records and Weird Al record. He's a great, amazing producer. I called him to do a photo shoot. He was going to be touring with Ringo. So what would happen before the All-Star tours, like 2-3 months before the tour, I'd go and fly and meet up with all the artists that are joined in the All-Star band to do a photo of them for the tour books. And we needed at least a couple months in advance to shoot everything and get the tour books together. My wife is a graphic designer. Her and I would do the tour books. So I would go and collect photos of everyone so we could have assets for the tour book. So I called him. Todd Rundgren lives in Kauai. Said, Todd, I need to do a photo shoot. When you're available, and what's the nearest hotel to your house? He said, no need to get a hotel. I got plenty of room. I got a guest house you can stay at. In fact, you can take my car during the day. Don't get a rent a car. I'll have someone pick you up. And anyway, I spent 4 days in Kauai. I'm not going to go to Kauai for a shoot and turn around, come home. I ended up spending a long weekend there, 4 days. And maybe
No, Rob, you just described that story. You
Yeah.
got to be, at some point, you got to be dreaming, right? There
Yeah.
you are, you and your wife, you're in his house, driving his car in the guest house. Like, how the fuck did that happen? Right? That's like, I mean, you got to be knocking your head all the time, right?
Well, every night, yeah, there's a lot of that. So during the day, we'd get up, have breakfast. He'd go to his studio, put on the headphones, sit at a keyboard with a laptop, and just start working away. I got a couple photos of that, but nothing more. So I'd take off. I'd go snorkeling for the day, find a place for lunch, go hiking, whatever, come back, and we would have dinner and watch the sunset every night. This is outside his house, right out the back. In fact, his house is literally 3 walls with an opening that overlooks this koi pond. And you see that hard edge of the water, like waist level on him. That's a big waterfall that drops down into another pond. So, we're watching this beautiful Hawaiian sunset every night. And like day 3, I'm like, hey, Todd, go grab a guitar. I got an idea. He went and got a guitar and put on a suit jacket. And from the time he went and got that, I set up a Pro Photo light, my little Acute 600, one of my favorite travel lights, because it's so durable and it's battery powered. I don't ever have to look for an outlet. And, it's probably off screen right about maybe 15-20 feet just to light up his face a little bit. And I had him walk across the stones and boom, one photo right there. And I love it. Look at his his left foot hovered over the water.
Beautiful.
Right over the light. And, I'm a big fan of Rembrandt. And I thought if Rembrandt was painting Todd Rundgren, he may come up with something like this with that lighting scheme. So, studied paintings and lighting makes me think about photos and photography. And I don't distinctively remember, but probably at the moment when I'm staring at the scene, I'm thinking, wow, this looks like a Rembrandt painting. How great to add a subject. Todd, go get a guitar. That's probably how it all began, but I can't honestly say that that's how it started, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Keith Richards, come on. Stones fans, let's see you.
Yeah.
Hands in the air. Massive Stones fan. And I think this is where we get to the slideshow where I start talking about my Stones experience, which is amazing. To me, no one more iconic in the music world than Keith Richards. What an interesting, smart, funny, intelligent, warm, compassionate human being. All of those, all wrapped up in this beautiful pirate, rock guitarist, drug addict, alcoholic, some people, whatever. It's all wrapped into one. Amazing guy, great dad, great husband, and just a wonderful human being. and he wrote the epilogue to my second book that just came out. To have Keith Richards write something for me was amazing. So Ringo Starr wrote the foreword to volume 1, a Beatle, and I got a Rolling Stone to write the epilogue for volume 2. Folks, my job is done.
I would say.
I've accomplished any kind of music photography dream I could imagine. And, getting to know the Stones and working with them and Charlie Watts was just a dream come true. Everything you could hope for, the Stones they're amazing. And I've been at rehearsals with them at a small little studio in LA, like tiny. You would think like the local rock bands. In fact, the local rock bands were rehearsing in the studio next door. And there's the Stones rehearsing like a bunch of little schoolboys. It's amazing. They still love playing all their old songs, and it was so much fun. All right, here's a lucky shot. 2006, the Rolling Stones were playing Dodger Stadium in LA. So a couple days before, I called Ringo, said, "Man, Charlie Watts is in town. Let's get you guys together for a photo shoot." "Oh, I love it, Rob." My next call was Jim Keltner. That's him on the right. Bob Dylan's drummer, like I explained earlier, he's been drumming for everyone. I knew he had Charlie's contact. He could find Charlie. He knew what hotel he was staying at. He loved the idea. 15 minutes later, calls me back. Charlie loves the idea. The next day, 12 o'clock noon, I'm waiting in Ringo's driveway for these two to pull up. Beautiful fall day, November, blue sky, although you can't see the blue sky here. And I'll tell you why in a second. Next thing I know, the gates open and up comes this car, Jim's car. Out pops a beaming Charlie Watts, arms extended. Ringo, he walks around the back of the car. Ringo coming towards them, arms extended. Ringo, Charlie. And it reminded me of the classic scene from A Love Story of the couple running towards each other on the beach. And I'm staring at it going, holy crap. The two most iconic drummers on the planet, right here, right in front of me, because I made a phone call the day before from an idea that this crazy idea of mine came to fruition. And at the very last second, I remembered my camera hanging on my shoulder. Had no time to check focus, no time to check exposure, hence the no sun. The no blue sky. But I got the photo. Slightly soft. I apologize. I wasn't prepared. I was in the moment and just enjoying what I was seeing. And let me tell you, that was 10 seconds I'll never forget. 10 seconds of seeing these two guys together. Just amazing. Amazing.
Even Keltner looks like, I can't believe I'm seeing this.
He's like, holy crap. Holy crap. It was so lovely.
Any idea the last time they had seen each other?
Yeah, I asked Ringo and he's like, oh God, I don't even remember. And it was probably backstage or someplace in passing. Like, oh, hello, Ringo, hey, Charlie. And, but to hang out with them. And by the way, this is 12 noon. I didn't leave until 5 that afternoon. So it was all afternoon. And I'll tell you what happens in a bit. So we go in the house. And it doesn't take long to walk into Ringo's house, stumble upon a drum kit, and to see these guys turn into teenagers again in front of a drum kit, geeking out over gear was awesome. Charlie was so relaxed. Nobody sees photos like this of him. Big smiles, so happy to be there. And it was so wonderful. And I didn't bring a lot of light. I had my I think at the time I had my D2 with an on-camera flash with the Gary Fong Tupperware thing. You guys know what I'm talking about? Of course you do. That beautiful round Tupperware thing that slides over the top, shooting straight up into the white ceiling. Just a nice, beautiful, soft light. Not a lot of harsh shadows.
Rob, how do you navigate this? Like, how do you navigate not being that guy, but documenting it? And, being unobtrusive.
Yeah, I'm just like in awe and just so happy to be there. And uh, I'm not interjecting. My first book, Billy Squire said, you don't really notice Rob's there, but when you do, you're glad he is. And I
Mm.
think that's the secret. Actually, Ringo said it in the foreword in my first book. Rob is there, but not interrupting the proceedings. So I'm not there interjecting. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not finishing their sentences. I'm not that excited. I'm excited now. I'm excited sharing my work, but I'm there as an observer and I'm just blown away and making sure all my gears working and trying to capture the right angles and the right moment. That's what I'm thinking about.
Mm.
That's,
Yeah, I mean, because for 5 hours you could be shooting nonstop.
yeah, I'm very selective. I didn't
I
shoot a
mean,
lot. Let's see what's next. I actually forget what's next. Oh yeah, so check this out. So one of the rooms, Ringo's got this electric drum kit, and I guarantee Charlie has never sat behind an electric kit. So he was fascinated with everything about it, and it was fun. Ringo showing him stuff, and Charlie's like, "Oh, that's amazing! That's amazing! I could bring this on tour." And I'm like, "Charlie, no, you're not bringing an electric drum kit on tour with the Stones. It's cool in the bedroom, but not on tour." And the cool thing about the photo, obviously, is the mirror
yeah.
getting in the shot. It's the most ultimate selfie in the world, being in the photo and the repetition in the mirror. I love it. It's incredible. It's a really, okay, Frank, I'm going to use the word. It's a very lucky photo.
You get away with it there.
But all the elements coming together, that's it. And love it. And this is when that happened. Right here, Ringo gets up. Here you go, Charlie. Give it a whirl. Hands him the sticks. It was a nanosecond of time. I was prepared. I was in the moment. It was one of those amazing uh, times when time stands still. And I was just living and breathing in this kind of matrix frozen moment of time and just happened to capture that right moment.
Different sticks for different kits.
Ringo has a signature stick, as does Charlie Watts.
Okay.
Actually, I have a pair of Charlie's right here.
I just happen to have them.
Just happen to have. But Ringo uses the same sticks for this kid as he does. I can see by that stick. I can tell that band in the middle it's got little stars on it. That's what those two white dots are. So yeah, he uses the same sticks for the electric kit as his acoustic kit.
Okay.
All right, so let me finish my story on this. So, all right, by 3 o'clock, Ringo looks at his watch. Oh, it's tea time. I'm like, tea time? I didn't see that on my schedule. And I'm thinking, all right, am I photographing those guys having tea? Am I waiting out in my car? Or am I, waiting on the sofa in the living room? He's like, Rob, are you joining us? I'm like, all right. I follow them out in the backyard, and there by the pool is a little tea set on a little round table by the pool. And next thing I know, I'm sipping Earl Grey out of a Flora Danica teacup, snacking on grapes with Charlie Watts, Ringo Starr, and Jim Keltner sitting right around me. And I'm thinking, man, is this my life? How did I get here? It's amazing. And I'll tell you how I got there. Because this 10-year-old kid, drummer, 13-year-old kid, photographer, never let go of a dream. And I worked every day to get to that tea set. Every day of my life has been focused on getting to this moment right here. That's all it is.
And did Keltner feel the same? Like, did you have a conversation with Keltner on the side? Like, I can't believe we're here. I mean, did that come around at any?
I'm so glad you asked. Hang on.
Don't pull out Jim Keltner now.
I happen to have a special guest, Jim. Oh, here's what I did. I get home at the end of the day, right? 5 o'clock, I'm driving home and I'm thinking, all right, did that day really happen? I get home, I upload the photos, and I'm like, holy crap, what a collection of photos. So I put together a book, a little
Right.
book, and look on the back. It's that drum head right there. See it?
Yeah.
I had them all signed. Here, let me move my screen up a little bit. I had them all sign a drum head, and I have a photo of them holding the drum head, which is now my favorite possession in my office here. So I made 4 copies of this book. You're seeing one of 4. And inside, as you can guess, here's the inside little vellum. How cool is that? A little vellum over this photo. And I'm not going to go through every page, but there's page photo 2 and 3, 2, 3. It just kind of goes on from there. And then, photos inside. This is right after this shot that's on my screen. Charlie with the sticks in his hand walking to the drum kit. Just a handful of photos went. I think
Yeah.
there's 50 photos in this little book. I sent one to each of the guys. Took me about a month to produce the book, maybe 3 weeks. Had to print it at a place up in Seattle that I know. I sent one to each guy, and immediately, Ringo and Jim called. Man, that was amazing. What a great day. The book is fabulous. 2 months later, I'm in Florida. I get a call from a London number. London calls, you answer. I pick up the phone. Hello, Rob. It's Charlie Watts, drummer with the Rolling Stones. I'm like, Charlie, I know who you are. I know what band you play with. And he says, Rob, the book is fabulous. Thank you for putting it together. And you made me look like a movie star. My heart exploded. I'm like, Charlie, that's amazing. That's amazing. So in volume 2, I use that quote, Rob, you make me look like a movie star. And I have this beautiful photo of Charlie in there. It just was the most amazing thing, getting those words from Charlie Watts.
Wow.
And when he passed away, his daughter called me, reached out, and was the most incredible thing. She's now in my life, and we have this beautiful texting relationship, and I feel like I still have Charlie Watts in my life. And she said, Rob, we found your correspondence and photos from Pa, as she calls him. You saw a side of him that only the family saw. And to me, that is the biggest compliment, the best compliment I could ever get from anyone. Seeing somebody's personal side that they only share with their family, then you're doing your job as a photographer, right? Photo guys, photo girls. If we can capture somebody that well and special, the family gets it, then we've done our job. So it ended up doing more work with the Stones. They did a book called Stones Gear, which is a collection of their guitars and amps and everything that they've ever recorded or toured with since the 60s. So I spent days shooting Stones gear, Stones guitars. Look at all these great guitars. Like the one on the far right, that's the one Keith Richards recorded Wild Horses on. That's the one right there. The fourth one from the left, that's his Jumping Jack Flash guitar. It's like the third one, that's Mick Jagger's guitar, the one that he plays on Dead Flowers. Incredible. Every one of these has an incredible history, and it's only a drop in the. I'm sorry.
The telly.
The telly, the fourth one, yeah, the yellow and white telly. That's his Jumping Jack, and the one next to it, the Firebird. That's Ron Wood's. The black second one, the Zamitis. That's a Ron Wood guitar. Keith has the first one, the second to the last, the acoustic, and the Jumping Jack Flash guitar. They'll have their own amazing history. And every one that I'm shooting, I'm thinking, all right, this one's worth a couple million. This one's worth a couple million. Don't drop it. Don't break the neck. It was a pretty awesome shoot. Their tour tech just kept bringing in guitars. One guy was pulling them off. One guy was bringing them in, and I had a setup. One setup, and they would just drop it in, take it off to the next, and incredible. All right. 7 years after the day of tea, I'm out on tour with the Stones, and I had a shoot scheduled with Charlie at the drum kit, his beautiful 1957 Gretsch drum kit, except that snare drum with the tongues. That's about 10 years old. So he sits at the kit, and Rob, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, Charlie, grab your sticks, swivel back towards me a little bit. And I said, Charlie, you are a movie star. He gave me that smile. I took this one photo. That was it. Boom. Love it.
Right.
Look at, you can see the shoes,
Yeah.
handmade shoes from the shoe guy in London. Love it. Charlie, I miss you. It's a fun photo. All right, what else we got? Some Stones live. Yeah, look at that. Mick, nothing like Mick Jagger. Incredible. My 400-2.8. I'm at the end of the runway with my big Africa lens. And by the way, as I mentioned, wild animals on stage or in the bush, very similar. You only get a few seconds. Look at me and Charlie backstage, double drumming. Now I have him show me this famous stick twirl. Charlie is the master. Oh,
Great.
I am so thrilled to have that footage. All right, moving on. So let's go into some Beatles territory. So Ringo's 70th birthday, Radio City Music Hall, you New Yorkers, right there in your backyard. So I gotta notice day of show, 2 p.m, private sound check. Do not tell Ringo. So we show up and it's Paul. Wanted to run through a song with the band. Ringo did not know. So last song at Radio City, Ringo finishes, good night, thank you everyone. And they had already brought out the cake and sang happy birthday. It was the night of Ringo's birthday, by the way. Did I fail to mention that? So Ringo cuts the cake, says thank you. He walks off stage right. On stage left walks Paul McCartney with this bass. The fans go nuts. It was screaming like Beatlemania, like I've never heard before. Ringo turns around. What the hell's going on? And he sees Paul. Amazing. Total surprise. He runs back out on the drum kit. Paul kicks it off, and they played Birthday. Obviously, it was so much fun. So much fun hearing that, and I'm right in the front. I knew it was coming. I positioned myself, have them left and right frame, and that's my buddy Greg Bissonette on the right, double drumming with Ringo, getting his mind blown, playing with the rhythm section of the Beatles. It was super fun, super cool.
Man, oh man.
And the bow shot. And, just shooting away, thinking, wow, these are amazing photos. I can't believe I'm seeing what's going on in front of me. And I had some friends from my hometown, from Norwood, Minnesota, visiting New York. And I got to bring them to Ringo's birthday party, introduce them to Ringo. I got them tickets, and my wife, their 10th row center, right behind me, watching this happen. It was super, super cool. What a night.
Yeah.
Here's the after party. Paul, Joe Walsh, Keith, Ringo. And let me tell you, before Keith got there, every rock star that was in New York was there. Brian Johnson from AC/DC, Billy Squier, Paul, Joe, Ringo, Little Steven from Springsteen. The list goes on. But when Keith Richards walked in, the air got sucked out of the room. Everyone turns towards the door. Oh my God, there's Keith Richards. It was amazing.
Why black and white?
Yeah, I have it in color. It's a splendid color shot. I don't know. I just thought it looked cool in black and white.
Yeah, I love it, and it's just interesting because so much of your other work is color. And yeah.
Yeah, it's just I just thought it'd be cool
Great.
to do it in black and white, a little more, maybe a little more vintagey looking, if you will.
Yeah. Beautiful.
You know, sometimes when you're shooting in party rooms with overhead light or weird colors all over the place, unless it's a colored controlled environment, you know, you get all sorts of wacky colors. Although again, I'm shooting with my flash with the probably with the Fong diffuser on top. Yeah, guaranteed I have that Fong diffuser. So I'm not sure what the colors really look like, but once I turned it to black and white, I'm like, oh yeah, that's
Done.
it. That's it.
And are these shots the most highest selling shots for you?
Yeah, these are some of my more. Are you talking about my sellers on my gallery store?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, these are good collectible photos
Great.
that have been selling for a while, and you know, thank God for the collectors and the people that want to have this on their wall. I love it. I can't thank you enough. And people that want to have my books on their coffee table, you know, it's just a real great honor. Um, Shoot for Apple for when they released Beatles Rock Band. Uh, you know, I get the call. I get the gig. Come shoot Paul and Ringo. They had a step and repeat um, that they wanted me to shoot them on. Awful. Beatles logo, Rock Band, Universal, whatever, Apple, bunch of logos. You know those step and repeats.
Yep.
I set up a secondary studio. This is at the Galen Center at USC downtown LA. I brought a big 12-inch seamless, had my lights all set up. Uh, so after we shot on that other thing, I'm like, guys, I got another studio over here. They followed me around the corner, and in the garage, you know, where the big roll-up doors are, I had this set up. And here's the thing. I had a little piece of tape where I had my assistant, you know, light read. We had a mark for them to walk to, and I pointed to it. Okay, guys, here's our mark. And of course, they were like a foot in front of it. So I reached down to turn my lights down a little bit. And Paul was like, oh, Rob's not ready. And he leaned in to kiss Ringo, thinking, oh, he's going to miss this. And I instinctively shot. I'm not missing this. There's no freaking way, Paul. I shot it, and Ringo goes, see, I told you he's fast. And they laughed. And that was shot two, which ended up on the cover of USA Today, the second frame of them two looking at me and laughing. I don't think it's in this slideshow. No, it's not. But it's,
So how did that work with Apple? Did they say, you know, we want to shoot you two guys, and Ringo says, I got the photographer?
yeah, and I've already done work with Apple.
Oh, you
They
had.
knew
Okay.
they knew me from past shoots and Cirque du Soleil. I'd done stuff with them for that. And I'd already shot Paul and Ringo together for other things and Paul for other things. So uh, it was just, you know, the familiarity and
Right.
the ease of making that happen. But I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. So the anniversary of the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. You guys probably, most of you may have saw it. CBS did the night that rocked America or changed America, which was a Grammys and CBS special show of the Beatles. And one of the things we did was we went to the Ed Sullivan Theater to do a walkthrough and a private interview with Paul and Ringo. And I was there. It was a closed set, nobody there but us and the film crew from the Tonight Show. And I'm sorry, yeah, the Letterman Show and Dave and a couple of producers, and that was it. And my suggestion was, let's get a shot of you guys with the empty theater. I have another photo of this without Dave. That's actually quite a little better. It's a little wider and you can see more of the theater, but this one's cool. And I just love it. And I sent it to Dave with a copy of my book. I framed one of these for him, and like 2 weeks later, I get a beautiful handwritten letter from David Letterman. It's amazing, so nice. Some of my Aerosmith stuff. Sadly, we'll never see those guys again out on the road, which is really sad. One of my favorite all-time bands, Aerosmith.
Yeah.
This is literally 4 minutes before showtime. They get out of their individual dressing rooms and they meet in the hallway and they walk right to my shooting setup. I had a one pro photo with the Octabank on it, and I shot like 10 frames. Off they walked to stage. Off they went. Super cool. Look at that. I love it. I love it. These guys are amazing. And of course, Steven, like me, is a teenager stuck in a man's body. And this is Joe Perry, but at soundcheck, Steven's like, Rob, anywhere you want to go during the show. And I'm like, oh yeah, on stage with Aerosmith. That's how I get these great angles. I'm just on the edge of stage, you know, shooting up with a wide angle, wide open apertures, get all that light bleed in from the background. I love it.
And logistically, how does security know that you're the guy?
Yeah, I have an all access. I got an all access laminated on. I always get those from bands. I request it. It's like, look, I don't want to be stuck, like, you know, arguing with the security guy because I have a working pass and not an all access. You know, there's different levels of
Yeah.
access with the laminate. You can get a working pass, you can get a photo pass, and then there's the all access with the hieroglyphics on it, or the you
Right.
know, they're always really special, and that'll get you anywhere. So I always get those. Make sure I have those. And I just happen to know the head of the tour happened to be Ringo's head of tour. So that was nice. That made it easy. And, you know, I meet the head of security right away. I know who they are. They know who I am, what I'm doing. And it's just
Easy.
makes it easy. Yeah. Love Steven. Amazing. Amazing. Love getting stuff like this. And like this. And I'm on stage and Steven decides he needs to come over and sing at me in my lens. He's like walking right towards me. You can see where I am on stage, stage left. Getting serenaded by Steven. And then he gets a little close and the colors get a little wonky. So I switch to black and white. I can't even focus that close. He decides he needs to clean my lens. That's what that is. Takes his scarf and he cleans my lens. But that's inside the mouth of Steven Tyler right there. And you're not going to get that anywhere, folks, but right here, live on Frank's show. What do you think?
Man, oh man.
The Tunnel of Darkness. Okay, Lady Gaga. Barcelona, Spain. One of my all-time favorite shows, not counting anything from the Stones, Aerosmith, or Paul and Ringo. One of my all-time favorite shows. She's amazing. 100% pours her soul out to the audience, and Barcelona loves her. She got her, after she started in New York, she went to Spain, spent a lot of time there, just traveling, touring Spain, and built a huge following. I didn't know this either, but they adore her. It's amazing. And the Spaniards are just crazy music lovers. And I just love the energy of this photo. It was a wonderful trip being in Spain with Gaga, and a really great addition to my collection. And, you know, the whole thing about her is the show, the staging, the confetti, the crowd. I got shots of her up close holding that guitar, but this is really the shot. Get in the vibe of the concert. Okay, so I'm glad this is in here because we're all photographers, and I get the calls from Yamaha to shoot orchestras also, and I love it. I love shooting orchestral musicians. I grew up in the high school orchestra, and I get it. My trumpet players in my high school band were awesome, and I get to talk shop with these guys, and their horns are all Yamaha, so I know all about the horns. The second guy from the left, the old guy, he's been first chair trumpet for the Boston Symphony Orchestra for like 30 years. That's where this is, inside the Boston Symphony. And just really great, getting them, their personalities to come out. And they kept saying, we thought this was going to be really stiff, portraity. You know, I'm not about that. I'll get the portraits if that's what Yamaha wants, but I love getting their personality like this. More of a relaxed backstage vibe, right?
Yeah.
One of them's telling a joke and they're cracking up. And I'm like, this is way cooler than any cool portrait inside the hall, which is fine. But I love this. And my wife is like, I think you need to retouch that seam on the wall behind the guy. I'm like, no, 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 no. This place was built in like 1875. There's no retouching walls. You can't change history. It is what it is. Uh, and I just love it. I just love the vibe, the feeling, and the personalities coming out. And of course, this is the one Yamaha used. They didn't use any of this. They may have, probably, but this is the one that really went big for them. All right, Blue Man Group. Love it. Of course, I'm all about drums, drumming, and whenever you get all that combination thrown in with paint and blue face paint, I mean, that makes for some really fun photos. All right, check this out. So this is the lead tubist for the Sarasota Symphony Orchestra. He is the Keith Richards of the tuba world. And there is a tuba world. There's a tuba fest in Iowa. University of Iowa has the big tuba convention every year. Hundreds and hundreds of tuba players from around the world go to meet this guy. He's an amazing, amazing dude. And his name is spacing on me right now. I'll come up with it. So I get the call for the shot and I'm thinking, all right, what am I going to do with the tuba player? Interesting. And like a week before my shoot, I came up with this, sketched it out on a napkin, took a picture of it, sent it to Yamaha, and they're like, love it. Okay, make it happen. So then I realized, all right, I got to find out a way to make this shot happen. I've never done this before in a car. I had my good friend Susan from Sarasota find me the car. She sends me a photo of the car. Hey, will this work? And I'm like, oh my God, will it work? It's perfect. Okay, good. But it's in a showroom of a car show, of a classic car showroom, and it can't leave the building. I'm like, all right, I'll shoot it in the showroom, no problem. Shot it in the showroom, stuck a wire in his tie, bent it around, had my assistant holding it with a fishing line on the end to create some wind. I had this photo of the background that I really loved, added the blur, dropped in the photo, and put it together.
It's really good that this guy happens to be bald too, right? You don't have
Yeah,
that issue.
Aaron Tyndall. Just remembered his name, Aaron Tyndall. And he called me after the photo, like, I cannot believe it. I had no idea what you had in your brain, but this is freaking awesome.
That's a
He
great
ended
shot.
up using it on the cover of his record. Yes, he does records. And yes, it was up for a Grammy as best in the orchestra world, the best recorded orchestra piece. It didn't win, but it was nominated and up there, which was super, super cool.
It's really to the credit of Yamaha that they can see you in shooting different types of artists, because sometimes you get pigeonholed. You can only do rock stars.
Yeah.
He can't go and do the Boston Pops. He can't do this. You know, you need a different type of shooter and this. But to their credit, that's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I'm very happy that they let me have creative leeway like this. But that's the thing. You come up with the idea, and once you get the approval, then you got to figure out a way to do it. But that's where the fun is. That's where the challenge is. And
Yeah.
Turned out to be not so drastic. I didn't have to, rent a big follow truck with a follow truck. And I mean, that could have been like a $200,000 project when it turned out to be not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Just shooting it in the showroom. Okay, so this is an older slideshow because I only have volume 1 in there, but you'll see on my website volume 2. And something that I'm really proud of, to be able to have 2 published collections and have a group of photos that people want to have on their coffee table is an amazing. And doing the books is really fun. It's a lot of work. And my wife is my graphic designer. She does all the layout and the design of the book. And we've done it twice now. And they're like a 9-month project, almost like having a kid. Uh, and it's a lot, many hours up and midnight, way past midnight every night for a long time. And we did it, and we stayed married. Yay!
And we could get this book off your website.
Yeah, this and volume 2.
Great.
The volume 2 looks like this. If you don't see it on my website already, but the first one we did silver. This one's gold.
And do we you sign each book, or how does that work, Rob?
I will totally sign when you do checkout. There's a space for any kind of signature requests or personalization. Just let me know. Happy to sign.
Okay.
And
Great.
they ship right here.
Great.
All right, that's something I don't want to talk about because it's not coming out yet. So
Okay.
you didn't
We
see
didn't see it. All right. So you could stop sharing. I mean, that what a ride. What a ride. That was great.
All right, I've been talking way too long. I need to know if we have questions.
Yeah, any questions? You can put them in the chat room. You could, unmute everybody, Jay.
I have a question. I'm sorry, I'm a big musician myself. But how the hell do you photograph drums without the cymbals and the lights bouncing back and the heads of the drums like screwing up your lighting?
Yeah, drums are as hard to shoot as a car. It's plating. I shoot an exposure for the drum surface. I'm on a tripod, a heavy weighted tripod. I shoot an exposure for the drum surface, for the heads, for the cymbals, and I'm just doing Photoshop layers.
Oh, wow.
Way. You can do it old school, but
It's impossible.
It's like shooting a car.
Yeah.
You have a painted surface, you have chrome bumpers, whatever, you have glass, you have all sorts of.
You have that Sheila E picture. I noticed the two Chinas. I'm like looking at the head. One of the toms is facing, and all I keep thinking was the light is shining back to the camera. How the hell did he get that image?
Yeah, a lot of plating.
Great.
And sometimes with drums, you're shooting with some drums there, some drums missing, because like a 13-inch rack tom, like a number 2 tom, will shadow the floor tom. So I'll shoot it without. So I get the shot without the shadow, then add the tom, so then I can combine the two. All sorts of drum photography tricks out there. Yeah. Okay, so how did we do on time? Did we go way over time?
Yeah, just about an hour and a half over, but that's fine.
Wow.
No. It's absolutely fine. You know what it is? You have great imagery and great stories. So
Where did the time go?
Exactly. So it's all no worries about that. And it's all really wonderful work. I think a lot of us were watching that as children ourselves. I mean, and the way you put us in that driveway of those two drummers meeting, Watson, Starr, Ringo, like we all felt like we were there, and that's really a hard thing to do.
Right.
With what's the word I want to use, with humility. You did that. That's really great. And I so much of that I love is the Keltner piece of that.
Yeah.
He's like a kid too. That's really like very, very special. I mean, the whole bunch of work there is just is great. And I have to tell you, Rob, I found you through through your emails of what you're doing.
Oh, good.
Like all that marketing really really worked. I mean,
so and the marketing I do because I have an online gallery, and you figure it out. You need a daily marketing plan. I'm not sending out emails every day, but when I do send out, they're very interesting. I think they're behind the scenes, and it's stuff that people can't find anywhere else. And we're posting on Instagram, Facebook every day. I have somebody that does all my social posting, and
great.
We have a monthly marketing plan. From the first of the month, we have it all mapped out to the end. And by the time we start the next month, we have another marketing plan going. So, and who I hired to do that, and I'm going to share this with you guys, is a company called Art Storefronts, ASF. Art Storefronts. If you have photography that you want to sell online, I found them during COVID when, like all of you, we had all this free time on our hands, and I said, okay, I finally got time to put together a gallery store. I found them and signed on, and I started marketing my photos as per their plan, and it's been great. It's been good.
They do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean that you share that with the audience is great because that's something being repping photographers. I'm always talking about you got to promote yourself. You got to you got to have this plan, and
Yeah.
I always compare photographers with reps. That photographers are like spaghetti. Their head is spinning, and the reps are like waffles. Straight lines, you got to get shit done, and that's where your economic degree really pans out. So that's it's great to hear it because it works.
Yeah, it has to work. You got to find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, one last thing. I heard Mike Portnoy is looking for a photographer.
Love Mike.
Uh,
I've shot him many times. He's an amazing drummer. Jeez, really great. I've seen him with the Winery Dogs.
phenomenal.
I've seen him with not Slipknot. What's the other one?
Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah, them. I've seen him multiple times. He's always amazing. Always
Good
great.
guy.
So, Rob, I cannot thank you enough.
Welcome.
And we want you back when you can show us work from the second book. The platform remains open for you anytime. We'd love to have you come back. And why don't you close out the evening with any pearls for us?
Okay, I just did a screenshot of the comments because they're so good. Thank you all.
Yep.
If I could share any wisdom, any pearl, just be yourself. Authenticity wins every time. Find the magic, find what it is you love to photograph, find a way to make that your living. Simple as that.
There you go, everybody.
That's about it.
All right. With that, we say thank you and we say good night. Rob, I mean, yeah, you're just starting your evening back home in LA.
Yeah, I'm going to see my daughter. I just landed yesterday. I flew in. I've been gone for a while, been in and out, and I'm excited to go see her daughter and have a wonderful night.
Yeah, and what's your daughter's name?
Chloe.
Chloe. Okay, great.
Chloe Love.
Chloe Love. Great.
Yep.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Everybody, good night.